excited to be live here with Aidy slash Amy Award. She
Hi.
she writes curvy girl romance in contemporary and paranormal. And I was just telling her last year at Readers Take Denver that she was the first person who told me about curvy girl romance. And I was like, this is amazing. So
Amazing.
I do have Aidy to thank for
Yay.
my twisty turns in career. But do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and some
Sure.
more?
Hi. I'm Aidy Award or Amy Award, depending on whether you're reading paranormal romance or contemporary romance. Hi, Rena. Um, I've been writing Curvy Girls exclusively, only Curvy Girls. Been writing for, I guess, probably about 15-ish years, but publishing for about my 10-year publiversary is coming up this spring,
That's exciting.
right after we go to Readers Take Denver. It's I
Nice.
think the first book came out in June 10 years ago, which is crazy balls to me.
Really
um
crazy.
that very first book, I started in contemporary when I very first started out, and I started out in super naughty, because there was there was a handful, but really like a handful of curvy girl books back then. Um, and so many of them, they had to lose weight to find a happy ever
Mhm.
after, which so so my very first romance 10 years ago is called Curvy Temptation, and it was about a girl in her dirty 30s, and her
Ooh.
best friend takes her to a BDSM club
That's amazing.
for her birthday. And things got naughtier from there. Um,
I
Still
love
one of my
that.
favorite books. I still love that book. And then I started writing paranormal romance a couple of years later. The 5-year anniversary for my Dragons Love Curves series, Chase Me, was just this fall, this February. I mean, this
That's
spring,
amazing.
whatever season it is, this spring.
Um,
But that one was the one that really sort of like put me on the scene, where people actually
mhm.
started hearing about actual curvy girl romances. And then this fall, I launched a new pen name, Amy Award, which was a lot of fun. And that one is football romance with a curvy girl who lives next door. And it's
Yeah,
been bananas.
I know it's been in the top 25 of the store. What's the lowest it got?
It was 21 in the store. Yeah,
That's amazing.
which I didn't expect at all. Like, I expected it to do well. Like, I put a lot of work into making a really great book, and I expected it to do well, but I didn't expect it to do that
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. And just for reference, there's how much 6 million books in the Kindle store.
Yeah, yeah,
And so to be that high is really exciting. And you were
bananas. I was talking
like,
to my dad, called me to congratulate me on the launch,
oh,
because, of course, I talk about it on social media and whatever. And he's like, "Oh, that's really great. So 21 in your," and he just thought I meant in the category of like sports romance. And I was like, "No, Dad, it's 21 in the whole entire Amazon store." And he's like, "What? That's the coolest thing I've ever heard."
yes. So exciting. This person says, I loved that cover. It's
I
super
love the
cute. And can
cover.
you tell us about who designed it?
Yeah, so this is a cover designed by Lenny Kaufman. If you want, you should totally follow her on Instagram, because you can see a lot of her art. I absolutely adore her art. And I first
Mhm.
learned about Lenny from Olivia Dade's books. She's the first Lenny cover that I ever saw. And so then I went on the hunt to try to find out who did Olivia Dade's covers. And our very lovely friend, Mary Warren, who runs Fat Girls in Fiction, had
Mhm.
done an interview with Olivia and found out who her cover designer was. And so I asked Mary, and got her contact information there. Um, and so, like, I'm dying with how amazing the cover turned out. Like, the
Yeah.
first sketch, I like gasped when I saw it, because I was like,
I
"Oh,
love
it's so pretty."
it. I mean, it's just so good. And I love the way that he's grabbing her waist.
I
It's just so
know, I know, I
cutesy, but
know.
also
And the
sexy.
chicken.
Yes, and the chicken. And what's the title of the one that comes after this?
So the first book is called The Cock Down the Block. The next book is The Wiener Across the Way, and it has stars a dachshund.
Love that.
It's a wiener dog.
I love that.
Yes. So all the books in the series right now, there's 4 books planned for the series, of the 4 brothers of the Cocky Kingmans who play professional football.
I love that.
And so they'll all have super hilarious and funny titles like that, and covers by Lenny. I have the next cover. I have the cover for Wiener Across the Way, and I cannot wait to show it to people. Like, it's killing me to wait for a cover reveal because it's like, it's maybe better. Like, I don't know. It's hard to say. I love The Cock Down the Block so much. Like, I asked Lenny, because I love it so much, I asked her if I could get it tattooed on me because I love it so much. And she's like, that would be so cool. So I just need to find an artist who can redo her art.
Yes, I want to see that tattoo when you get
it. I'm very excited about it. Someday. Hopefully before Readers Take Denver.
Right? That's coming up. So if you're here in the chat or on the replay, let us know if you're going to be at Readers Take Denver, because I'll be there. Aidy will be there. Do you know anyone else going?
I've got a couple of friends here from Colorado that are coming. M. Guida, who writes academy romances, like magical academy romances. She's doing a vampire academy romance right now, and she's about to do a witch one. And her covers look so much like the girl from Wednesday that I'm very excited to see those come out. Somebody says you could get the inked tattoo sticker and have artist ink over it. Oh, that's a good idea. Yeah, that's a really good idea. I could also make them temporary tattoos that people could get from me at Readers Take Denver. I think I'm going to do that. Whoever said that, yes, you're hired.
Yes, you're hired. I love that.
Yes, that's a good idea. And then another Curvy Girl author, her name is Stephanie Harrell. She writes a series called, oops, sorry, my phone rang. Even though I put it on silent. She writes a series called Curvy Ever After, and it's all fairy tale retellings with curvy girls. Cute. The first book in the series is, I can't remember what the titles are. I'll look them up and tell you guys later. But the first book in the series is basically a Little Mermaid retelling, except it's set contemporary. So she's not actually a mermaid, but it's it's the same premise.
Concept. I'm like, I love mermaids.
Yes, I love mermaids. I mean, I have a mermaid book. I love mermaids. But hers are contemporary. The first one, I think, is called something like Dating Mr. Fisher. That's what it's called. Dating Mr. Fisher. I love that. So she's coming. She's in the All Stars program, so like an up and coming author. She has, I think, 5 books out.
Oh, cool.
And they're all curvy girls, and I know she's coming because she's going to stay with me the night before the conference.
Here we go. I love the Harry Potter mermaids. Those are creepy.
They were creepy.
That's creepy.
I do have one. I have one mermaid book. I mean, my mermaid goes throughout my Dragons Love Curve series. You meet her in, I think, like book 3, maybe. Mm-hmm. But her story, like her love story, is book 4. But that she's an important character throughout the rest of the series.
That's cool. Okay, so what's the All Stars program?
Is it called All Stars? Is it called?
I think it's Rising Stars.
Rising Stars. You're right. It's called Rising Stars. So Lisa Renee Jones, who runs the Readers Take Denver conference, decided she wanted to help authors who are sort of new to the business, who are up and coming. And so she picked a group of authors. I think there's maybe 30 or so of them. I'm not sure how many, but I think it's like 30-ish. Yeah. That they basically get their own signing on one of the days where you can go meet these new up and coming authors. And I mean, I think that there are people that wouldn't normally be able to go to a big signing like this because they're new. And so she's trying to help them get a leg up, which is lovely. We love when the author community helps each other.
I know. And I love that it's on a separate day. So you're not like, they won't be competing with.
Yeah. You don't miss out on the authors that you already knew you were coming to see when you try to go find new authors. I love that too. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Coffee. Let's see your mug.
It says
Vampire.
vampire blood.
Oh, that's funny. Mine is plain gray.
Cute.
It's so cute. Okay, so I wanted to talk about like curvy romance too, and like why you decided to write curvy as opposed to another style.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I definitely started writing curvy girl romance because I did not see women like me represented in fiction. And if I did, it was so fat phobic, dude. Like, I remember reading, and I won't say the author's name because I actually love a lot of her books, but she had a
Mhm.
series that was, the titles were like, "This size is not fat."
What?
Right. And so, I don't know. It didn't make you feel good when you read
Yeah.
it, which is cruddy. And so I just wanted to see a romance that had somebody who looked like me in it. And I think that I think a lot of people want that. I think a lot of readers, because I think a lot of other readers self-insert into the story. Like it's them, they're the
Mhm.
heroine, you know? And not always, but I think a lot of times we do that. And there was no place to self-insert. And so that is why I started writing my first curvy girl romance, which hilariously was a curvy girl and a football player.
That's amazing.
Circle back around. I would like to pull that manuscript back out someday and like make it a real, because it was basically the first book that I started writing on. I didn't know anything about writing yet. So it was like the
Mhm.
book that I learned how to write on. It was called Cookies and Cowboys.
I love that title.
I love it too. It's such a good title. And I love those characters.
Yes.
She was a plus size girl who worked at something like the Food Network. Like we make everything up, right? So it wasn't actually the Food
Mhm.
Network, but something like the Food Network. But she was fed up with her love life and she joined a dating app, but it wasn't just a dating app. Once you were matched, you sign an agreement and you were married.
Oh my gosh, I love that kind of stuff.
Right? So then I think I called it, which I think this is actually a real website now and I couldn't use it. I think back in the day I called it marryme.com.
Oh yeah.
I think that's
I love
actually
it.
a real
Like
website now.
Married at First Sight.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then she moves sight unseen to Oklahoma. I don't know why Oklahoma. Um, I do know why Oklahoma. To the home of a former, like a broke down football player, like he can't play football
Mhm.
anymore, who
Oh.
has 4 kids. And he doesn't know anything about it because the kids put him on the website.
Oh, I love that. Yes, you need to write that. You need to
Yes,
edit
right?
it.
It would be a super, yes, see, marryme.com rom-com. Yes. It would be super fun. I totally need to write it again now, but it's been, sitting under the bed. You can't go wrong with a football player.
No,
Like, I
I love
love football player heroes. I've been trying to write a football player hero for 10 years,
it.
15
And just what
years.
blew up. You just put all of that goodness.
I love football
Maremy.rom
players.
com. I love that.
It'd be perfect, right? I'll have to pull it back out someday and rewrite Cookies and Cowboys.
Yeah. My start to curvy romance was like a little different because when I started writing, I just wrote characters who like I call them like realistic. So I'd be like girls who like felt really muscular and like were uncomfortable because the guys saw them as like manly or like,
Yeah.
things like that. And then I did write under my YA pen name, I wrote a curvy girl who
Yeah.
lost weight.
Yeah.
Um, and everyone was like, they really loved the curvy part of that. And I was
Yeah.
like, okay, well, I'm just gonna go for it. And I wrote my YA series.
Right? With a football player.
With the football player, because you can't go wrong with the football player.
You can't go wrong
And
with the quarterback.
I know. And then all my readers were like, okay, but where's the spice?
I mean, I get it. I get it. Like,
Yes.
I
So I
love
was
the
like, okay.
deliciousness of their cute, adorable relationship, but also
Yes.
grow them up and give me some spice.
Yes.
Hunky quarterbacks.
Quarterback.
Absolutely.
And it's been super fun because I noticed that in a lot of like popular like spicy romance books, it's like she put her small hands on my chest. I put my hands around her small waist. And so there's not even like enough ambiguity that you could even imagine. Like,
not even so many romances talk about very specifically how tiny she is.
yeah.
It's like almost a trope in romance of
Yeah.
how tiny she is. I ain't tiny.
It almost like gives me a little bit of ick too, because I'm like, is she a child?
That is so ick. Because yes.
Why are you focusing on how small she is?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Blah.
Not that there's anything wrong with being like straight size or being thin, but like the obsession with it is like
it's an obsession, and that you're right, that's what it is. Because I was watching, I watch a lot of TikTok. I really enjoy TikTok a lot. I watch a lot of TikTok, and I watched a girl the other day. She was talking about tropes that she wished were done, that people would stop writing, and one of them was how many times authors mention how tiny the girl is.
No.
And she's right. I would prefer that to go away.
Me too. I'm like, okay, this is cool, but immediately like separates people like me from being able to pretend I'm the character.
Yes.
Which I like reading in first person for that reason too, because I want to like feel what the character's feeling and everything.
I do think there's been a big shift in romance over just the last 5 to 10 years of way more first person. And I think it's because you're right. We can get so much more personalized into the story when it's I versus she in the name, which has been hard because my paranormals were all third person. And then my newest series I did in first person. I was like, oh no, are people going to like that? But they do.
But sometimes it's hard for like authors to make a change because you're like, well, my people like this. We want to make you happy.
Yes, because we do. I mean, I just sent a newsletter to my paranormal readers this morning to say, what do you want me to write next? Because I got a lot of choices. So what do you actually want from me? Because I want to write what you want to read.
Yeah, for sure. So what's next for Aidy or Amy, or what are you working on?
I don't know what's next for Aidy. I honestly am waiting for my readers to say. So I did one poll, but it was sort of like just a little like, hey, here's a thing. And then I got unexpected results from that. So I gave them 4 choices because I got all kinds of series, right? I have my Dragons Love Curve series is done. Like, it was done 2 years ago, and then I added more books to it. It's done. It's done. No more Dragons Love Curves. But there's a spin-off series to that is the Black Dragon Brotherhood, which is more dragons, obviously. So I'm on book 3 of that. So I was like, do you want book 4 there? Or do you want a new book in my Wolf series? Or do you want the next book in my Vampire series? Or do you want I have a new series that I'd really like to write about curvy witches. So which one do you guys want? And I actually expected everybody to say the dragon spinoff because that's been waiting a little while. But interestingly, the most votes went for a new Wolf Shifter book in the Wolf Shifter series. And I was like, really? I'm a little bit surprised about that. So let's talk about that. So maybe the next book is a new Wolf Shifter book.
Yeah. I love your pitch for your vampire book that was like Twilight for curvy girls.
Yes. Because I know not everybody loved it, but I loved Twilight books. I didn't love the movies as much, but I never thought What's His Bucket was Edward. Like that didn't work for me. And I was always Team Jacob, obviously.
Yes. In the movie, like in the books, I was always Team Edward, and then I watched the movie and I was like, I'm Team Taylor.
Like, I'm Team Jacob now. I'm Team Jacob. Even in the books, I was Team Jacob. I was never Team Edward. But I loved the books. I loved the story. But how tiny is she all of the time? Right? But I want to be a vampire. Or be made into a vampire. And a lot of vampire lore. Hello, welcome Uno to the
we love pets.
Hi Uno, say hi.
You're so cute.
He is so cute, and I cannot be on the phone or the computer without a visit from Uno. He's like, oh, you were talking to somebody? I must come see.
Let me say hi. He's like a child.
Yes, he legit is. He's like my little toddler. He's 11.
Everyone just
I don't know. Everybody says hi. Oh,
kidding.
no. But the part of vampire lore is always when you get turned into a vampire, it makes you infinitely more beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for so many people, not just back then, but now, that meant it makes you skinny.
Mm-hmm.
And that hurts my heart.
Yeah, I know.
So I very much wanted to write a vampire romance where just because she becomes immortal, she's in mine, they don't actually become vampires when they are mated, but they do become immortal, and they don't get skinny because they're immortal. They're perfect already, though, the way that they are, and that's why he loves her in the first place.
Oh, I'm getting
That
good.
and her blood smells like chocolate cake.
Her blood smells like chocolate cake.
Do you remember in Twilight when they're in the science lab at the very beginning and he like freaks out because she smells?
Yes.
Right? And like
Strawberries.
so much of it was about how like he couldn't resist the scent of her blood.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's weird, but okay, that's part of a lot of vampire lore, also the scent of the blood, but blood does not smell delicious. That's gross. So I made it so my heroes have, I call them their soul's serenity.
Mm-hmm.
So when they meet their serenity, they know it's her because she smells like chocolate cake, and then all other blood smells basically like pig poo.
Oh, I love that. I think I need to read some vampire book. Yes.
The first book in the series, let's see if I do have a copy of it on my desk here. The first book in the series, so also these are basically James Bond meets vampires. My vampires are like super secret sneaky spies. So the first book in the series is called Vampires Are Forever.
Yes, and he's so hot.
He's so hot. He's so delicious. My cover designer's so good at making delicious vampires.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, I wanted vampires for curvy girls.
That's awesome. So what do you like? What are you a bigger fan of, contemporary or paranormal?
No, yes. Both. Like, I'm not both.
You don't
Like,
have a
I
favorite.
love paranormal romance because there's so much fun in the magic of it. And
Mm-hmm.
one of my favorite tropes is fated mates, which
Mm-hmm.
is real hard to do in contemporary. I
Yeah.
have seen it. There's this great, so during Corona Apocalypse, I discovered K-dramas on Netflix. And there's this K-drama called Crash Land on You. And it like sucked me in so hard. I swear I thought it was like 3 to 5 seasons long because I was so into it. It's one season. It's like 13 episodes or something like that. The premise is a super rich girl from South Korea is testing her new line of high like X Games type sport apparel. And so she goes parachuting, and this I love it. A tornado comes and blows her into the DMZ on the North Korean side, and she literally crash lands onto a North Korean soldier. So it's opposites attract, it's enemies to lovers, but it's also the way that they pulled the whole story together. These two had met like 100 times throughout their lives. Like the world was definitely trying to toss these two people together. And finally, I had to come up with a tornado to throw her into North Korea. And then they spend most of the rest of the show trying to get her back to South Korea, unbeknownst to North Korea. It's so good. Like, I was so addicted to it. Anyway, that's the only Fated Mates contemporary that I've ever read. Not read,
well, it's
seen.
Soulmates, like soulmate love.
Yeah. So I love the magic of paranormal, and I love dragons. Who doesn't love dragons?
Yes.
Right?
Have you been reading Fourth Wing?
I haven't read Fourth Wing yet. Like, it's on my list. It's on my list. But I find I like to read whatever I'm writing at the moment. And I haven't written a dragon book in a while.
Yeah.
So I was reading vampire books during the vampire book. I was reading a lot of sports romance while writing The Cock Down the Block, and now I'm working on The Wiener Across the Way. So it's sports romance for me right now.
So what's your favorite sports romance that you read in your research?
Ever. My favorite sports romance ever is called How to Date a Douchebag by Sarah Ney.
That's amazing.
I loved it so much. And what got me about it was like he's your typical college jock douchey guy, but he's not actually like an ass. He just like pokes. Like, I don't know. I loved him. I loved that book so much. How to Date a Douchebag. It's the first book in the series. The other books are okay, but I didn't love book 2 because he was more angry than douchey.
Yeah.
But book 3, she did role reversal with that the guy was the one who didn't have the confidence, and he thought that he was unattractive. That was the whole thing of the whole book. And while he wasn't chubby, because he's an athlete, and weirdly, she didn't even do a popular sport. They're wrestlers. Like, who writes books about wrestlers?
Oh, right. It's like not the sport I think of when I think of sexy.
Not the hot guy sport, but very hot guy sport, let me just tell you. Anyway, he thought that he was unattractive. And the way that she grabbed his emotions was so much like what I read for a lot of curvy girls who think that they're unattractive. I loved book 3. They're all called something like How to Date a Douchebag and then something. Like the first book is, I have it on my shelf. The first book is called The Studying Hours.
Oh, okay.
In college. She's changed the covers. Otherwise, I'd show you the cover because that's not what the cover of the book looks like anymore. My favorite sports romances. He's
maybe wrestling.
Yes, right. There is a scene in the book at the beginning where, because she's starting to interact with this guy, I can't remember the first one. No, the second one, she's the tutor. I don't remember how they hook up. Doesn't matter. But she goes to a wrestling match and she brings a friend along with her, and her friend's like, holy shit, you can see everything in those little wrestler outfits.
That's amazing. It's like football pants, but for the whole body.
Right. Football pants, but for the whole body. So that's my favorite sports romance of all time. I mean, I like a lot of sports romances, but that one's my favorite. It's not even a football player.
Okay, well, we have a couple of minutes left. Does anyone have questions for Aidy? Before we go, just drop them in the comments. And then if you are watching on the replay and you have a question, I invited Aidy to the group. So maybe she can
hang out.
Her. Yes. Or if not, I'll just pass it along to her and ask and not annoy her.
What do you got coming up, Kelsie?
So next book in my series is Hello Tease.
Yeah. Ooh, I love that title. Because Hello Heartbreaker came out, last month? Yeah.
Yep, end of October. No, end of September. Oh my gosh, guys, I feel like my name, all my months and days are
marched together, yes.
So there's like a theme throughout the books that all of the guys play pranks on each other.
Oh, I like that.
And so I think he's going to get in a prank war with a single mom's child.
Ooh. That sounds fun.
Yes.
When's that one?
Who knows?
Yes, I feel you.
Like, when will it come out? I have the pre-order set for next September.
Yeah.
But hopefully I'll get it written sooner.
I bet you will.
Okay, this person says, how many pen names do you have?
So I have 2. I mean, I have 2 active pen names. I've had some other ones over the years, but as they didn't do what I wanted, I dropped them off. But I also co-write with another person, another Wolf Shifter series, actually. So I write... So Aidy Award writes paranormal romance. Amy Award writes contemporary romance. And then I co-write as Aidy Award with Piper Fox. And we write contemporary, because I've been trying to write football players all along. Piper Fox and I write werewolves who go to college and play football and fall in love with curvy, nerdy bookworm girls.
I love that.
That one is my, it's called Big Wolf on Campus.
Big Wolf on Campus. I love that.
Those
okay, so Rena asked, what book of yours do you recommend to someone who's new to your books to start with?
So if you like paranormal romance, I always suggest starting with Dirty Wolf because, oh look, I have both of these things. This one's Dirty Wolf. And I recommend starting here because my paranormal world is all interconnected. Like everything happens in the same world. And this is really the very first introduction to the world. So if you start with the Wolf series, you'll meet some of the dragons in the Wolf books. And then you can move on to the dragon series. And then you can move on to the vampire series. And then you can read Big Wolf on Campus.
Very cool.
Those books. So I always recommend starting here. But if you like contemporary, I have two choices for you. My newest book is The Cock Down the Block. This one that we were talking about earlier. This is the sports romance, hunky football player. But I also have an erotic romance called Curvy Temptation. So depending on if you want spicy or super spicy.
Yes. And heads up, The Cock Down the Block. You cannot search cock in Amazon.
Right. Amazon does not like my title. They made it hard to search for. But if you just search Amy Award books, or if you search, even honestly, just I've had a lot of readers tell me a lot of different things that they found it by. You can find it just searching Down the Block. Just leave the whole rooster part out of it.
I know. I loved what you tweeted that Daddy Bezos is approved.
Daddy Bezos does not like my title. He's not the fun kind of daddy.
Yes. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming, Aidy.
Of course, I had so much fun.
Yes. And also, sorry, I almost forgot. I'm giving away a copy of Aidy's new book.
Yay!
Cock Down the Block. I'm giving away an ebook version, so I'm going to send it to you, and you can start reading on your Kindle.
Yay!
So I'll choose someone by tonight. So if you're watching on the replay, you have until tonight to comment, and I'll get it sent to you.
Yay!
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thanks. Bye. Rena says yay.